Right now, you sleep in a locked box, walls, a roof, a door with a bolt, soft light you can summon with the touch of a finger. You think nothing of closing your eyes in total darkness, because nothing is coming for you. But for almost the entire history of your kind, the night was not for sleeping. The night was when you died. And the fact that you're here at all means every single one of your ancestors solved a problem that killed millions of others. How do you survive the dark? Let me tell you. From up here in my tree, where I've watched the sun go down more times than you can imagine. Let's start with why the night was so terrifying. Because you've forgotten. You've genuinely forgotten. When the sun goes down today, the world basically stays the same. When the sun went down 200,000 years ago, the world transformed into a hunting ground, and your ancestors were on the menu. Here's the cruel joke nature played on your kind. Your eyes are built for daylight. Beautiful color vision, sharp detail, all of it useless the moment the light fades. Once darkness fell, your ancestors were nearly blind. But the things that wanted to eat them, they saw perfectly. Lions, leopards, hyenas, big cats with eyes designed to turn a moonless night into broad daylight. So picture the situation. When your kind was at its weakest, blind, slow, clumsy in the dark, that was exactly when the predators were at their strongest. Every night was a few hours where the entire natural world had the advantage over you, and they knew it. There's actually hard data on this. Scientists studied the largest set of lion attacks ever assembled, and the pattern is bone-chilling. Lions hunt humans most successfully in the darkness, after the sun sets, especially in the nights following a full moon, when the moon rises late and leaves a window of total black. The danger was so predictable, so tied to the cycle of the moon, that some scientists think this is why the full moon still haunts human myth and superstition to this day. Your fear of the dark isn't childish. It's ancient. It's data written into your brain by a million nights of being hunted. So, how did they survive it? Solution number one, and the big one. They stopped sleeping like me. Here's something you probably do without knowing why. When you sleep, you almost certainly sleep next to someone, or at least near others, behind locked doors, as part of a group in a building. That instinct is old. Because the first great survival trick was simple: never sleep alone. My kind, the apes, we mostly sleep up in the trees, each in our own little nest, safe above the ground. But as your ancestors came down from the trees and got too big and too heavy to nest safely in branches, they lost that protection. They had to sleep on the ground, the most dangerous real estate on the planet. And the only way to survive that was numbers. They slept in groups, tight clusters of bodies, together. Because a single sleeping human is a meal, but a group of 30 is a fortress. There are more eyes, more ears, and crucially, at any given moment, someone is always half awake. And that leads to one of the most elegant survival systems your ancestors ever invented. They took turns. Anthropologists studying groups who still live traditional lifestyles, like the Hadza in Tanzania, found something remarkable. They don't all sleep in one solid block through the night like you try to. They sleep in scattered bursts, drifting off and waking at different times. And when researchers watched an entire group through the night, they discovered that there was almost never a single moment when every person was asleep at once. Someone was always awake. Always. A grandmother with light, restless sleep. A young hunter still buzzing from the day. Different people, different sleep rhythms, and the result was an accidental night watch that ran automatically all night, every night, for free. No one organized it. Their own varied biology did it for them. Your restless nights, your relatives who wake at every sound, that might not be a flaw. It might be the leftover of a system that kept your species alive. Solution number two, they stole the sun. Now, sleeping in groups helped, but it wasn't enough, because a pride of lions doesn't care how many of you there are if they can sneak up in the black. Your ancestors needed something more. They needed a weapon that worked against the darkness itself. And they found the single most important one in human history: fire. I want you to really understand what fire meant, because you use it to toast bread and you've lost all sense of the miracle. To an early human, a fire was a piece of the sun, captured and brought down to the ground. And it did something no claw and no muscle ever could. It pushed back the night. A fire gave them a circle of light in an ocean of darkness. Suddenly, they could see what was out there, at least a little. But more importantly, the animals would not cross it. Almost every predator on Earth has a deep, instinctive terror of fire. So a single flickering flame became an invisible wall, a barrier the lions and the leopards would not step through. For the first time in the history of your kind, there was a safe place in the night. Around that fire, your ancestors could finally do something they had never truly been able to do: relax. And this changed everything in a way you feel every single night of your life. Think about it. Before fire, sleep on the ground was a constant, shallow, terrified thing. You could never fully let go, because to fully let go was to die. But once the fire burned and the group gathered and someone kept watch, your ancestors could finally sink into deep, real sleep. The kind of heavy, dreaming, restorative sleep that other animals rarely get. And scientists believe this is one of the reasons humans developed such intense, efficient, dream-rich sleep. Compared to other primates, you sleep for a surprisingly short time, but you go much deeper. You are a champion sleeper, and you can be, because 200,000 years of ancestors, protected by fire and by the group, could finally afford to close their eyes all the way. Which brings me to my favorite piece of evidence: a ghost of those dangerous nights that is probably still hiding inside your own body. Have you ever been drifting off to sleep, right on the edge, and suddenly your whole body jerks violently, as if you were falling, that sudden embarrassing spasm that snaps you wide awake? Scientists call it a hypnic jerk. And one leading idea about why it happens goes straight back to the trees. Back when your distant ancestors slept up in the branches, falling asleep in a bad position meant you might actually fall out of the tree to your death. So a built-in jolt that yanked you back to alertness, that made you check your grip, that could save your life. Some researchers think that when you feel that falling sensation tonight as you drift off, you're feeling an echo, a reflex from a time when your family slept in trees and the ground meant death. Your body still remembers a danger your mind has completely forgotten. Solution number 3. They built the dark out. Fire and groups got your ancestors through the open nights, but eventually they wanted something more permanent: walls. So they took shelter in caves and rock overhangs, and later they built the first structures. And here's a detail I love. In the Ice Age, when humans sheltered in rock overhangs, they didn't just huddle there, they engineered them. They hung heavy animal hides from the rock to block the wind. They built tent-like structures inside, wooden poles draped with sewn skins, all arranged around a central hearth that bounced heat and light off the stone walls. They turned a cold, exposed rock into a warm, glowing, defended room. Do you see what's happening across this whole story? Step by step, night by night, your ancestors were building the bedroom you sleep in tonight. The group became your family under one roof. The fire became your heating and your light switch. The cave became your walls. The night watch became your locked door. Everything you take for granted when you flop into bed without a second thought was paid for in blood across thousands of generations who did not have it. So tonight, when you turn off the light and pull up the blanket and let yourself fall completely into the dark without any fear at all, understand what a bizarre luxury that is. No other creature I know of sleeps so deeply, so defenselessly, so certain that nothing is coming. You do it because you won. Because 100,000 generations of your ancestors sat up around fires, kept watch over each other, and refused to let the darkness take them. You are the descendant of the ones who made it to morning. Me, I'll still sleep up here in my tree, one ear open, the old way. Habits are hard to break, but you go ahead and sleep like the champion the night made you. And if you want to know about the fire itself, the single invention that changed your species more than any other, the day my cousins first stole a flame and everything changed, click the video right there. Sleep well. Something's got to.